My name is Matia. I'm the honored sculptor to do this year's Brookgreen Medallion. The Brookgreen Medallion series is the second longest series of medallions in the country. I believe the American Medalist Society's series is a little bit longer. I was born in Cleveland, Ohio, which is part of the story of why I came to do the pieces that I did for Brookgreen. Cleveland is one of these wonderful places that had a long industrial history, and the scions of those industries left the city of Cleveland many very fine institutions, including the Cleveland Symphony Orchestra, the Cleveland Museum of Art, and a particular wonder to me was the Cleveland Museum of Natural History. I went to work at the museum when I was about 16 years old, and I worked for a man who was a very fine sculptor, a gentleman named Leigh. But included with the natural history collections, they also had a fine collection of natural history art, including the works of Louis Agassiz Fuertes, John James Audubon, and of greatest interest to me were about 7 sculptures which were done by Albert Leslie. The friends of Brookgreen will know Albert Leslie from the wonderful sculpture of the Dancing Goat, which I believe is in the Children's Garden. Leslie did a series of pieces of animals sort of at the scale and at the texture and at the level of detail that really became my muse for my own sculptural career. And about 25 years ago, I was at a family's home, and they had on their outdoor porch 2 of Albert Leslie's life-size turkeys. It was a left and a right, and I fell in love with them, took a number of pictures, and then went home 25 years ago and did a small model of what were very large turkeys. You can see an example of the large turkey itself at the Reynolds Center, which is the American Museum of Art in Washington, D.C. From that time and from that sculpture, over the last 2 or 3 years, I wound up doing a series of large bas-reliefs of turkeys, really based on different views of the Leslie design. When I set about to think about how was I going to treat the Brookgreen medallion, I chose 2 images. One were wood ducks, and frankly that was because of the natural history of wood ducks. They're one of the few ducks that actually nest in the South, and in fact they were called summer ducks. The other side of the medallion was going to be a wild turkey. And I must admit, part of my reason for choosing to do the wild turkey was I wanted to see how I would do one, having grown up with both Leslie's life-size, full-scale image, but also the medallion which he made for the American Medalist Society. I'm sorry, I can't remember the name. I want to talk a little bit about how the medallions are made. These are medallions, which means they are minted. They aren't castings. A medallion starts out with an original, which is done on a plaster, and from that plaster, after the designs have been sent to Robin and to the board of Brookgreen to approve the 2 different designs. There's one side was the plaster of the wood ducks. I'm sorry, I don't have the original of the plaster of the turkey. But after the original has been approved, I then make a mold, and this captures the negative internal detail of it. From that mold, a series of plasters are poured, and they look basically like this, although it would have been the wood ducks and not obviously the quail. But this plaster then becomes sort of the master. The plaster has to be reworked by me because there will be any number of flaws in this design, which when you actually see it in the white and in the plaster, you realize that, oh, I made an undercut. And in the minting process, because the minting process is simply a matter of stamping, there can be no undercuts, and certain of the details basically have to be designed so that they're going to come out with basically a striking. This plaster is then sent to a mint where a machine which was designed really at the end of the 18th century makes a 3-inch copy of this on a steel die, the negative of it on a steel die. Then over a series of, I think, about 4 minting or 4 stampings per side, a bronze blank is stuck on a steel disc. A huge machine comes down and smacks on it, and they do it 4 or 5 times until that level of detail is embossed, in effect, on both sides of the medallion. The medallion is then taken out. It is sort of wire wheeled, and then a patina is put on the piece. Again, I want to thank the people at Brookgreen. I'm flattered to have been asked to do this medallion, and I hope that it will become a wonderful part of each of your own collections of this medallion series. Thank you.